Okay, buy low, sell high. Who you got? Who you buying low on?
All right, my Mike's buy low, sell high. This week I'm going with big names, nothing like obscure. So my first target that I've actually seen a lot of people trade for and trade away is DeAndre
Love this
Hopkins.
one.
Yes, so I drafted DeAndre Hopkins in the first round, like many people who are probably listening to this. And if you did, you were rewarded with a great week one performance where he had 13 targets, he had over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So if you had that performance, you were likely thinking, wow, like I made the great decision. But then 3 weeks of poop, basically, and he's coming off one of the worst performances of the season against the Panthers. He only had 5 catches for 41 yards. He hasn't actually scored a touchdown since week one. So I think all of that reverses, and he has a great breakout game against the Falcons, who have a terrible secondary. It's going to be a shootout. This is one of the highest scoring Vegas lines, and I think this is where he pays off. So if you can somehow trade for him, get him before the game happens, that's great. Also, he has another plus matchup in week 6 against the Chiefs. So now is the time to buy low on DeAndre
Number
Hopkins.
one wide receiver on my rankings this week, and I probably have him number one rest of season. Huge bounce back
Wow.
for Hopkins. Yeah.
So who would you rather have? Because I know this was a highly debated thing that we saw, was that someone traded Cooper Kupp for, or someone traded DeAndre Hopkins to get Cooper Kupp. So that was very controversial. But I mean, I think it's not a terrible trade. I think they're pretty, rest of
I
season
think it
they
is
get more
close,
value.
but I like Hopkins more.
So you'd still, despite what we saw tonight, you'd still rather
Of
have Hopkins over.
course.
Okay. I personally would rather have Cooper Cup, but we will see how it plays out this week. The second guy we already spoke about briefly, Saquon Barkley. So if you're in a league where people just aren't up to date on what's happening, I mean, he does have bad matchups. So this week he probably won't play against Minnesota. If he does play in week 6 against the Pats, he probably won't do that good because of their defense. So if you can somehow get him for relatively cheap right now while his value's low, this is the time to get Saquon Barkley, which I think he can still be had. What do you think about that? You think
And
people
only from a noob.
in like noob, but there are noob leagues
Yes,
out
there
there.
are noobs. Yeah, we
Crazy,
just
crazy
talked
things
about
like
them.
that.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's definitely a target. I mean, if people are dropping James Conner in leagues, there's definitely a league
Oh, that's like
where you can
beyond.
trade for
That's like
Saquon.
uber noob. That's yeah.
Yeah, so just something to keep in mind. The next guy on here is Kyler Murray, who has been a disappointment so far this season. We can all agree. He has probably one of the highest completion percentages of any quarterbacks, but the problem is they're not resulting in big plays. The air raid offense allows for a lot of check down passes, which he's been very good at. But this week, I think, is when he bursts on the scene and shows why he was the number one pick. He's playing on the road against Cincinnati Bengals, who we talked about have a horrible defense. So if he doesn't do good here, I think that it's time to panic, but I think he'll do well. And the reason why I definitely wanted him on this list is because in week 5, he plays Cincinnati. Week 6, he plays Atlanta. Week 7, he plays the Giants. So he's a 3-week stretch with plus
Wow. Well, I love
matchups.
the Falcons defense. That's
Yeah. So
oh
this
man.
is the time to play him and get him and start him, because if he doesn't do good in this 3-week stretch, I mean, it's highly unlikely that he won't, but this is the time to play him and see what you got if you have Kyler
So
Murray.
that was the one I was interested about, was why you have Kyler Murray here, because I already knew what you're gonna say about Hopkins. We briefly talked when we talked about Saquon before, but
Right.
Kyler Murray, don't you feel like he's kind of the floor isn't good, but the upside is basically highest. Like I think he can finish QB1. I think it's a bit unrealistic, but I think top 3 he might be able to squeeze in top 3 this
Well,
week.
definitely the good part, what I saw last week, is that he was able to rush for a touchdown. So that's what he's been
That
missing, right? So,
saved me in fantasy.
yeah.
So I started
Yeah.
him over Tom Brady, and I was like, boom,
Wow.
dub. Yeah.
Yeah. So like
Because of that rushing touchdown.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if that is like a sign of things to come, and that's what we all expected when we drafted Kyler Murray, this year, then I think the sky. I mean, he has a high ceiling because then he's essentially a running back. He's kind of
But the
like
floor
a
is
Russell
bad.
Wilson light. It is
No
bad. No,
Christian Kirk. He'll probably miss 1
but
week.
it's the Bengals. The Bengals.
Yeah, and then no Bird, but dude, just run. That's how we get
Just throw
fantasy
it to
points.
David Johnson and have
Yeah,
David
David
Johnson run
Johnson's a
it.
great receiver. I have both.
Throw
I
it to
have
him.
both. So
Yeah, throw it
I
out
like him as
there.
a DFS play in GPP. Like that's what I'm saying. So not much floor, but I like
Right.
him in DFS. You can stack him with Fitzgerald or David Johnson, who's a receiver essentially.
Exactly. Okay, so now on to my sell high. So this guy, Shady McCoy, might be someone that you're like, why would I? He's a top running back in one of the best offenses. But now with Damian Williams coming back, who is essentially the better pass catching back of the two, I don't know. I just think now is the time to sell high because Shady has been doing great the past 2 weeks. He had 23 points. He had a touchdown against Baltimore in week 4, touchdown against Detroit. So he is a great back value wise. But with Damian Williams coming back in the mix, I think it's time to sell high, get out of that running back by committee, and just see what you can get. Shop him around, see what you can get. He's also dealing with injuries. He's getting older, as we said
Okay, what
before.
could you get for Lesean McCoy? Because he's okay, I feel like, but not like
Could you
that
get?
great. Like who? Like what?
You
Let the
think you could
people know
get?
what they can get.
Could you get a Eckler? I think it's possible.
You would trade him for Eckler.
I would trade LeSean McCoy for Eckler. Yeah, definitely.
I feel the advantage of having Eckler is that Eckler. I don't even know Eckler's age. I assume he's like 5 years
He's younger.
younger, 6 years
Yeah.
younger. Eckler's younger, healthier, less tread on the tires, and LeSean McCoy has some injury history. He holds he holds the football out like a loaf of bread. There's this meme of this guy like holding a baby with his arms
Right.
stretched out. It's like that's how LeSean McCoy holds the football. And yeah, I guess I mean that's a crazy one right there. It's a creative one. I thought you were gonna say like a wide receiver or
I'm
something.
creative, man. I'm a trade creative
Because
person.
Eckler is he's a flexibility. He can play him in flex even with Melvin.
That's what I'm saying.
Uh,
Well, what would you rather have? Would you rather have an RB, running back committee with LeSean McCoy or running back by committee with Eckler? Like, it
yeah.
seems like you'd rather. I mean, I would rather have Eckler.
Because I mean, I'm the one who's worried about Shady getting injured and Melvin getting injured. So
Yeah.
it does make sense to me for sure.
So you're on board with that. Okay, good. The next guy, another running back. So this is basically a running back list for the sell high, which is important. James Conner coming off the best game of his season against Cincinnati. Man, he was great. But if you watch that game, you saw that Jalen Samuels is now elevated into kind of a 60-40, I would say, timeshare. Before that, it was all Connor. And now that he might not play with the ankle injury, I think now you just get off the Connor train. Look at what happened. So week 5, he's playing Baltimore, bad matchup. Week 6, plays Chargers defense in LA, so that's not ideal. Week 7, bye. So, I mean, it's not great
Is
the
it
next 3 weeks.
exactly what I told people would happen with Connor? Is what it's happening?
Yeah.
That's what's going on, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's been
You
a
called it.
bust, and then Jalen Samuels gets involved, and this is it. So you trade him to a noob who says, "Oh, James Conner, he's back. He's what
Yes,
we
exactly.
thought."
James Conner. Yeah, trade him to a Steelers fan. Like, get creative. Do something. But now is the time to get off the James Conner train if you drafted him
If
high.
you didn't listen to me and you drafted him, yeah, this is
Week
definitely
8,
the
you'll
time.
have one more chance to trade him in week 8 because he plays the Dolphins. So if you don't get to trade him now, you'll only have one more ideal chance to trade him, and that's in week 8. So might as well get ahead of it. Trade him now while he has, a really good game in week 4 and see what you can get. Just don't drop him outright like some people have. Uh, and then last but not least, Leonard Fournette. Now, the reason why I have him on this list is because obviously, he's coming off the best game of the season. He had over 200 yards, which is crazy. But if you look at the 3 weeks before that, he never went over 100 yards in any of the games before that. And also, the most alarming is he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. So why would you? I don't know. If you can't get in the end zone after 4 games as a starting running back on the Jags, Like you should probably,
You might be able to
like
trade him after this game too.
yeah. So this game or next, he'll probably do good this week. But I definitely would not want to have a running back that can't score touchdowns. Like that's a red flag. I want
So
to get off from that
the
situation.
pro with Fournette is the volume. The team is
Yeah.
old school, smash mouth. We're gonna run these 3 run plays, and they always do it. So the volume is incredible, but the cons really stack up. Um,
Yes.
okay, Daniel, I hear you're not trading Fournette. It's okay. You don't have to listen to us.
You don't have to.
Yeah, it's
Just
fine. But
it's
this
just make it.
the game is buy low, sell high. And
Yes,
so
exactly.
just know that if you don't agree with Fournette, that's fine. Like, we're giving you our reasons. We're totally cool with you not doing it. But in general, you do want to buy low, sell high. And then when there's a player like Fournette in general, that's when you want to sell them at their highest. So Fournette gets the volume. We love that. Gets the carries. We love that. Regardless, he's always doing that. And that's great for a running back. What are the cons? Not a great pass catcher. What do you play, Daniel? I don't know, probably PPR, unless you're back in the caveman days and playing non PPR. So we all play PPR. Doesn't bode well. Mike just talked about the touchdowns, which I didn't even really talk about, but it's like a bit alarming when you have a guy who's huge monster. He's like a
Right?
semi truck. And then you got guys like Wayne Gallman and C-Mac and Kamara just scoring a ton of touchdowns. Like, dude, get in the freaking end zone, because no matter if we're playing PPR or not a PPR, touchdowns are always king in fantasy in all formats.
Thank you.
Always king. And so there's a lot to worry about. I think he'll have another good week. But I know, I mean, it's the Panthers. It's not like a terrible defense.
No, it's not.
So he may not, and he's only had one huge game, and he doesn't really
That's
hit
why
the
trade him
hole.
now. Trade him now. I'm telling you guys.
Yeah, I would
I've
definitely.
seen this unfold before. I had Fournette last year. Very disappointed at the end of the
And
season.
then there's all the
So
other stuff, his suspensions, the benchings, the injuries, his weight, which I don't care about his weight, but that may or may not lead to injuries or just him being comfortable, and so. Yeah, no, I like this one, but I was just like Daniel. I was very curious to see what you were gonna say about Fournette, and I think you made some points.